I'll see you on the YouTube.
Okay, so what we'll
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special session this evening, day 33, and also our last session before you all enter the ashram series. So we have been together for 33 days, spread over just over 2 months. We have a few people joining us live. If any of you would like to share with us how you feel meditation has changed you since you've started meditating, how have you been changed? What have you noticed the most about yourself? If you would like to add it to the chat, we'd love to hear from you. So from next week, we will go to 1 session a week. It will be on a Tuesday in Sydney time at 8 p.m, so the same time as this session. And as always, it will be on YouTube for those of you who like to watch the recording to suit your own timings. So we look forward to continuing with you and taking you deeper towards your spirit and getting to know you a little bit more. So what we might do is bring on our presenters for this evening. We have Lynn, which you know very well, and also Philip, who I don't think he's been part of this series before, but he has been part of other series. So we'll bring them on. There they are. We'll just add them down to this. Oh, there they are. Hello, Lynn and Philip.
Hello.
Hi, Jenny. Very nice introduction. Thank you so much. You have the two of us for the one location tonight, which is
Yes,
very nice. I think you might have met Philip before. You've done a couple of sessions in our earlier part of the
that's
series.
right.
But
Yes,
we always love
back in the first. Yes, back in the first week. That's correct. Nice to have you back on again, Philip. Now, Philip and Lynn have both been Sahaj Yoga practitioners for a very long time, probably 30 or more years, maybe even 40 years.
You may be right.
So I thought it would be nice for them to share the first time they met Srimataji, because back when they did start in the 80s, there were many opportunities to spend time with Srimataji. So I'm sure they have very many wonderful stories. So we're going to ask them tonight to share one.
Philip, I think you've got a very lovely story. I think you should share that. That would be really nice to hear.
Hello to everybody. I came to Sahaj Yoga in late 1980, and on my first initial meeting, I rejected what they suggested would happen. A little while later, I was persuaded to come back and get my realization, which I reluctantly did, but I felt it very strongly on the night. I felt very silent, and 2 months later, after quite a lot of meditating and practicing, went to Sydney and joined up with a group who went to Mumbai in India to basically go on a tour of Maharashtra with Srimataji. She did a tour there. And the night we met her was the night that her husband had been re-elected to his position in the United Nations. Quite a formal night. When she walked in the room, my Kundalini just took off, and went into this beautiful silent state. And then they proceeded to have all the formality, and then her husband left the room. There was quite a lot of us there, and we all went to her, and she asked us questions, she worked on us. A most delightful night. And we were lucky enough to be in her presence quite a lot in the early days. And she was such a beautiful, generous person, and all she was concerned with was helping people develop their realization to become the spirit, because that's what her life's work was. And we were lucky enough to be with her on many occasions, actually, and I feel very blessed and honoured that we happened to be there, like so many of us. And but I just remember when she walked in the room, I was overcome with her beauty, and it was more than just the visual; it was the vibrations as well.
Mm.
And magic moment.
Very nice.
Thank you, Philip, for sharing that. And Lynn?
Well, I've got a story that is a bit of fun. So when I first got my realization, I went to Burwood Ashram, and because they had a program there on Sundays, and I heard about they were making plans for a tour to India, and that would be in a couple of months. And I was new, however, this was something I really wanted to do, go to India and see Sri Mataji. And somehow by miracle of pure desire, I got my name on the list and was able to go. And just before going, I heard someone was telling me, or telling the group of us, how they had their marriage arranged by Sri Mataji. And I thought, oh, what a brilliant idea. You know, the people are worked out on vibrations, and, you know, none of this falling in and falling out of love. You get matched and you love the one you're with. Anyway, idle thought at the time. Went on the wonderful journey that is the India tours of those days. And we got to a place called, what was the name of the place that was, anyway, I'm going to forget names because obviously I've aged a bit. We got to the place where engagements were made, unbeknownst to myself at the time. And we were having a swim in the dam, and Sri Mataji had sent someone down to ask all the girls who were of marriageable age. Viterna, that's the one. Thank you, Philip. Between us, oldies, we'll get there. Viterna, it was. Did anyone who was marriageable age want to get married? And it seemed to be an esoteric question to me. And I thought, oh, one day, in a couple of years, yes, I would. So when I answered it in that mode, of course, anyway, then we finished our swim and we all had our showers and we all got dressed. And then there were messages coming up and down the hill. We had our accommodations where we had our little mattresses in our huts together, and people were being called up the hill. And then I got the call. The message was passed along. Sri Mataji wants to see you. I went, oh, I get to see Sri Mataji. I didn't twig as to why. Anyway, so I'm going up the hill and people are coming down the hill and going, oh. And I'm going, what? Anyway, I got to the room where Sri Mataji was, and I just saw this lovely, beautiful, huge mother figure. And she was laughing, and the room's full of people. And somebody must have said, Lynn has come, Sri Mataji. And then she said, oh, Lynn, do you want to get married? And I was still in that mode of, Sri Mataji is there, it's wonderful. And then I was kind of becoming conscious as to what the question was. And all I could think of, I don't know, just tell me, I'll do whatever you say. So I didn't say anything, basically, and everyone was laughing, and Sri Mataji was laughing, and somebody said, I think she means yes, mother. And and Sri Mataji slapped her thigh and said, very good. And then she said, what about this one? And pointed to surrender. And of course, I just looked away, and he did the same thing, and I didn't see who it was. And again, in my mind, I was just thinking, I don't know. And whatever you tell me, I'll do it. Because I don't know my own mind, basically. And then again, someone yelled out, I think she means yes, mother. because I couldn't see and think. And then she said, very good, and slapped her thigh again and laughed and said, choose a sari. And there were all these beautiful, colourful saris beside her on the bed where she was seated. And I just thought, oh, it's so beautiful. And look at that beautiful pink one. And then I thought, oh, but hang on, I'm choosing a wedding sari. I wonder what colour it's supposed to be. Or maybe I should look at the red ones. Oh, and then she said, take the blue one, or take the pink one rather, and slapped her thigh and laughed, and everyone was laughing again. And then, of course, she asked me another question, which was choose your shawl to go with your sari. And I just looked and saw these beautiful blue and pink and red, and I thought, oh, the blue is so nice. And then, of course, my mind engaged and said, oh, but does blue go with pink? And then she, of course, knew my confusion and said, take the blue one. And I was bundled up with saris and shawl, and somehow I ended up outside, and everyone said, oh, what happened? And I said, oh, I saw Sri Mataji, and and I'm getting married.
And yes, and you're all there today. Surrender's in the room, and surrender's in
another room.
Oh, he's in another room now where it's safe.
Yeah. He's on YouTube in the other room.
Very much to both of you for sharing those stories. We could feel the joy in both those stories. And we'll leave you now to share with us about the creation of the universe.
And here is another amazing subject.
Another amazing subject.
So, going to a more somber mood now. No. Philip, would you like to just give it a little bit of an introduction to the subject tonight?
When I was approached on this subject, it came to me that the creation is actually, the process of creation is actually within each human being on the chakras, the 7 main chakras. And it seemed an obvious thing as you get to know your subtle system, that's how we evolved. The first chakra was created in the spiritual, in the sense of the Muladhara being the innocence, the purity, which was in what the divine wished to have in the universe as the basis of everything, like Mother Nature, for example, the innocence and purity of Mother Nature, flowers and these sort of things, and the fragrance of everything. The second chakra, the Swadhisthana, is when creation started into the physical form and things started to meld together. Things came together over a very long period of time. We're talking of billions of years here, and that basic evolution and creation are the same, except that there's always an idea of difference in time. And the Swadhisthana started to make things, planets, what have you, for the human race to be on as part of that divine plan to bring about the enlightened being. And the Swadhisthana is in us as creativity itself, remembering that divine qualities that are out there are also inside us. We're a reflection of that. And then came the Nabi, which is basically the Nabi and the void together form the big sea, the Bhavasagara, the sea of illusion, which Sri Vishnu, who sits in the Nabi, comes out of to create. So you're talking about out of that sea, and they say that creation came out of the sea onto the land to form eventually the humans, that process. So you're talking on a subtle level, this happening where out of this big sea comes all the rules, and in the sense of the Adi Gurus as well, the void, the Adi Gurus who came, 10 of them over a long period of time, to keep human beings on the path, the centered path, so they could stay balanced. But of course, as humans are, we didn't take much notice. And out of that, as I said before, Sri Vishnu came with his consort, goddess Lakshmi, to move creation onwards, to evolve us higher and higher, the next chakra being the heart, which was another aspect of Sri Vishnu, which was Sri Ram, who came as the ideal human. And he tried to show people the idea of the way we should relate to each other. And he came at the time, if you know the story of the Ramayana, when his armies were made up of monkeys and bears and things like that. So you're talking about bridging from one of the Neanderthal type area into the more modern area. And it happens at the heart when we evolved up to that point. Also the goddess is there through love, and also the spirit, which is in the heart, which is the eternal part, which moves on. Then we go up to the Vishuddhi at the neck, where Sri Krishna came as an aspect of Sri Vishnu again, to show people the joy of life, to do with when we stood up and became human beings off the ground, stood up, used our hands to make, to be, and to teach human beings the joy of life, particularly collectivity, of appreciating each other, being together, and understanding we belong to each other, that there's a wider thing than just the I. And in his incarnation, he demonstrated the joy of that relationship. If you know his story of Krishna and Radha as a creation, then we move further on within ourselves. Now you're talking about jumping great spans of time between all these. Then you come to the Agya Chakra, where you have Sri Buddha, Sri Mahavira, and Sri Jesus, who come for particular reasons. To, as we grew and became more aware of ourselves, at that stage, they tried to show us about the ego and our conditionings, where not to go too far, do not use the ego too much. And both Mahavira and Buddha just demonstrated that by using our ego and our superego, we don't actually get to God. We've got to allow God to give our higher self. That we've got to evolve inside to become the higher thing, which is the spirit. And particularly Christ, who showed us that we have to forgive. He resurrected to show that we need to resurrect and become the spirit, and we need to get our second birth. So these deities are placed along our spinal cord, reflecting the era of the time which we made up of. And then we come to Saraswara, which is the era of now, where the human being has to have their fulfillment in this era, because that we're meant to evolve in creation to be what has been planned for us, which is basically the Eden or the heaven or the paradise. And of course, we've got free will to do that. And when the Kundalini is awakened within us, it links all these together within us and through our meditation, which is the process of knowing, we can feel that divinity within ourselves. It's not a thing of ego or I am this or I am that. It's a matter of, it's there, it's in our spirit, and it's what was planned through creation to become. And it's mentioned in all the incarnations do mention it, of course, in different languages, but meaning the same thing, that the aim of creation is to get the human beings to a high level where we actually live in harmony together. I'm not trying to be too romantic or wishy-washy here, but it's a fact. The basic nature of the human being is to become the spirit and to enjoy the creation. And it's not all the nonsense that goes on. It's what's inside ourselves, which is there, given to us by the Creator. That's the important thing.
And our goal being to become that reflection of
definitely
divine.
And in the end, we talk about becoming the spirit, and through our meditation, then we develop our subtle system and our silence. We meditate. In that silence, we move towards the spirit, which is actually the reflection of God, and God the Father and Mother in our heart. It's that spark that is there, which is silent, beautiful, eternal, and permanent. And it's like once you start touching on that in your meditation, and you will, and you may have done already. And this is the thing that I felt early on in Sat Yoga, and it's beautiful, and you wish to be with that. And as you gradually evolve, it becomes more part of your personality. And that's what it's all about in the end, is to become what the Creator wants us to be. And that's, well, the spirit and basically good people in the end. Is what it's all about, you know. And we know that human beings, we get deluded and sort of off on side roads all the time, but in the end, it is to become what the Creator designed for us, and it's internal.
And it's so nice that all the deities and incarnations were actually created so much earlier,
Yeah,
and all came through the evolutionary process for us, and incarnated to take us higher. So it's
they came to teach us many things, and we gave them a hard time and all that because of our ego. But in the end, they came to guide us, and God has been very incredibly patient with us. Because
consider
He knows, and
terrible
she
things
knows
we've done to the incarnations.
And it's to become that higher thing, and we either go to left or right and get away from it occasionally. But the beautiful thing with realization in Saj Yoga, as you meditate, that develops, and you feel it more and more. And that's the whole idea of this, is that we evolve to be that which has been mentioned. And this is a beautiful thing that Sri Mataji's given.
Yeah, and that we can identify with our spiritual self.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can forgive our naughty, not so spiritual self.
Yeah, you know your
because
ego. And
we're here to correct
you
that child
you see it
that
there,
goes
you
astray.
laugh at it, yeah. But always coming back. Beautiful thing about meditation, you can come back out of the left or right, back to that center and go, and realize that, and sort of have a bit of a laugh about your mistakes or whatever, but the central thing is always there through the Kundalini. That's the joy of it. And that's what creation is all about, to bring it. That's what it was designed for that heaven or paradise.
So we got to get to it. Evolve ourselves more. Correct our naughty children.
That's the secret.
So shall we have that first video? So on the subject of creation, we'll listen to what Sri Mataji had to say quite some time ago, 1977, in fact.
She has lovely information.
So it is an audio with a still of Sri Mataji. So we can just raise our Kundalini and prepare ourselves. Keeping our attention in the Sasrara.
Greatest blessing today is that many of you can feel the vibrations. And not only that, but you also know and realize that they can think and they can love. It's a very big blessing. Of course, some of you haven't got it, but those who have got it know that these vibrations organize because they raise the Kundalini, they go to the place where it is needed, out of compassion to that portion where there is deficiency. They understand, they organize, they are universal in nature, and they love. They answer to your questions. When you ask them some questions, you receive answer from them. They are living vibrations. These vibrations are from the divine. This divine is called as Brahma, Brahma Tattva, principle of divine. We can say that the process of creation is an eternal process. Means a seed becomes a tree, and the tree becomes a seed, and the seed becomes a tree. It goes on and on. It's eternal. So it cannot have a starting point, and it cannot have an ending point. It goes on and on and on. That's why it can have different states of existence. You can say state of being. So the first, just the being, is Brahma. Where nothing exists, we say nothing. When we say nothing, it is a relative word. Because we do not exist, so we say nothing exists. It's a relative word. When we are not existing, for us everything is nothing. There is something, but that is not ourselves. And that's why we say it is nothing. It's only the Brahma. You can think of an energy if you want to, an energy form that exists. But the energy accumulates at a point and forms a nucleus. The energy that thinks, energy that is distributed, accumulates at a point, concentrates on a point, you can say. And this point is the point we call as Sadashiva. This happens because that energy desires, thinks, organizes, loves. When it wants to create, when the desire is felt in that energy to create, at that time, a nucleus is created. This nucleus we call as Sadashiva. This nucleus does not disappear. You can think of a nebula. I mean, it is something which is all relative, you can think. You cannot think something in absolute form. So with thinking, you cannot conceptualize the whole thing. But if you can think of a state where it's just an energy and no creation, but not the energy of electricity, magnetism, all these things. It's the combination, the synthesis of all the things which goes into Laya, which becomes that, dissolves into that. It coagulates, say, at a point. That may be a word. Coagulates at a point, which we can call as a nucleus. This point we call as Sadashiva. This Sadashiva is the Ishvara, is the God Almighty. We call it now God because now it has a limitation in the sense that we can call it something. But if it is just an energy, we just call it a Brahma. You can say like this, when the water becomes ice, a follicle of ice is formed. You can differentiate between the water and the ice, but still it's a relative understanding. At this state, God Almighty, Parameshwara, takes its form as an identity. That's why we can say that it is not Brahma, but an identity. Identity has its aura, has its aura. We can say it's light. This light is the divine love. It goes into various forms, but Sadashiva remains as he is. Now the desire to create is transferred to the aura. The aura is the power of God, Shakti. Ishvara has certain things beyond him also and before him. God Almighty has something beyond him that he cannot control. One, he cannot control his eternal nature. It is his nature to be eternal. He cannot stop it. He will go on changing his form. It is his nature. It is his svabhava. He cannot change his eternal nature. He will be eternally. Eternity is his temperament, his nature. He cannot overcome that. For example, God cannot take away your freedom to choose the truth. He cannot. Once he has granted, he is not going to take it away. You have to choose it in all your freedom. He will not force you to take it. Many people have hopes like that. That's sadly mistaken. At this juncture only lies the problem of complete destruction or complete resurrection. It is left into the hands of human beings to decide whether they want to accept the truth or they want to follow the falsehood. So you have given complete freedom to choose. I won't go into the details about God Almighty because it's a very subtler subject and requires much more attention. I have talked about it before to many people and all his nature and all that. But he is the witness, he is the Sakshi in the form of a Sakshi. What is he witnessing? He is witnessing the creation. And the power that creates the creation is the Shakti, is his power, is his consort. Now for us human beings, we don't understand that a wife and a husband could be that one. For example, you can understand like a sun and the sunlight, moon and the moonlight. As these two things are one and the same, or the meaning and the word. In the same way, Shiva and Shakti are one together. For example, you can be a father, you can be a mother, you can be a father, you can be a brother, you can be a son. Three things you are doing together in the same way. You can be yourself and your power. You know you and yourself and your power are different, but you are one. You have a power to write, but you are not your power. Neither your power is yourself. In the same way, Shiva and Shakti are two persons to be identified, but they are part and parcel of one uniform thing known as Brahma. But these horrible tantrikas, again they come round here, have spoiled the relationship between Shiva and Shakti. Not that they were human beings, that's why they established all these funny ideas and talked about these nonsensical things. Because they are the people who are nothing but their sex boys. They are nothing nobler than that. They are very depraved and diseased and debased people. They suffer from such a terrible disease that nowhere they can see anything else but this. Ashwamedha Yajna also they describe as something to do with sex. Everything they look, they see sex there. It's like a person, as we call it in Hindi, Sawan ke andhe ko sab haryali nazar aata, who is wearing the glass of sex and watching through that life, everything becomes sex, sex, sex. They are such debased and horrible, depraved people. Even God, they bring it to that level. Unless and until they bring it to that level, they cannot exist. How will they justify themselves the way they are? Sex has nothing to do with Shiva and Shakti. What is sun and sunlight? Is there any sex involved there? Is there nothing existing without sex for these horrible tantrikas? Is there no relationship that exists without sex? So Shiva is the God Almighty. We should call him as Sadashiva. I'll try to draw a little bit, let us see how it works out. Now forming into a nucleus like this. Now this is the remains of the nucleus, you can see, which forms its power here into a valaya. How does it form the Radyavara? He moves, supposing backwards, you can say. Then what happens when he moves backwards? Kalana. This whole thing like this remains here, and all of this passes, forms a shell around it, and the waves cross over and settle onto the shell. Yeah. Now, this is the situation. When all inside forms another nucleus here by concentration. This is the Shakti. And this is the Sadashakti. This is the Mahashakti, you can say Adi Shakti, and this is the Sadashakti. Now here, Shiva, once the Shakti forms her personality, or we can say her ego is established. She is a different identity from Shiva, because the whole process is to create the play for the witness to see. He is the one who is going to watch the play. She is the one who is going to create. So she accumulates her ego onto a point here and becomes Shakti, assumes a position there, and the first thing she does as a Shakti is to go around in a parabole around her Lord. This point one must understand. She is a Shakti, is the power of God. And the whole creation is only meant for God Almighty to be seen. He is the only spectator of the play of Shakti. And if he doesn't like the play, for example, he doesn't like the way it is or the way people are that are created, he can immediately stop the play by closing his eyes, by denying the play, by showing his annoyance, or by his temper. He can just stop it. That's why he's also called as a destroyer. But the whole thing is meant for his amusement. And if it doesn't give him pleasure, he can stop it. That's why the first one who must be pleased is the one who is the spectator. Because of this, Shiva is garlanded by her, is a parabole. And that's why parabole is the symbol of Adi Shakti. This is sort of a certificate to her, a sort of a granting her the Varadan, as we call it in Sanskrit language, is the Varadan, that go ahead with your work. This is a sanction given to him. When she completes this parabole, the sanction has been granted, and that's why she is a parabole. Here the question of men dominating the women and women dominating the men does not come, because this is predominantly in our heads, you see. When we think of it, we think of men and women. It is nothing of the kind. It's a complete oneness. Can we think of one couple which is absolutely united with each other? We can. Because we are all incomplete people. But if you could stretch your imagination to such a point that both of them are meant for each other only, and the one who is active is the Adishakti, is only active to please the God Almighty, who is the only spectator of her play, and he is to be pleased first. So she surrenders herself before him, takes his sanction through the parabole. Now, parabole is a very important thing. You know that everything travels through parabole, never in a straight line. For example, if you love someone, our love goes around that person and comes back to us as love. But if you hate that person, then our hatred goes around that person and comes back to us as a terrible hatred. So the parabolic is taken. But you might say, why a parabolic? The question can be, why should there be a parabolic and not a circle? The reason is, parabolic is the shortest distance to go round another point. It's the shortest, and that's why it's a parabolic. It is even in our ordinary life. You will find this happening, that whatever you do to others, it comes back to you in some form, whether you do good or bad. And that's why our karmic ideas and that our doing punyas are all there. Because whatever we emit through us will come back to us. In the same way, if we bless the whole world, the blessings of the whole world will come to us.
We'll just meditate for a little while, and then we've got a lovely prayer to take us into meditation.
May I this day be what you'd have me be. May I this day say what you'd have me say. May I this day be part and parcel of the whole, and may my thoughts be of a realized soul. May I this day have love for all mankind. Holy Mother, be in my heart and in my mind. May I this year grow as you'd have me grow. May I this year learn what you'd have me know. May we this year stand tall and carry forth your light, and may we keep your vision ever in our sight. May we this year at your lotus feet unite. Holy Mother, be in our heart and in our mind. May we this life live as you'd have us live. May we this life love as you'd have us love. May this world become the lotus that unfolds into this golden age.
just maintain that silence for a little while longer. Just raise our Kundalini with our right hand up to our Sahasrara a few times. We've got another shorter segment of the same talk where Shrimataji talks about the creation of the deities. It's a little bit shorter, but it is on the same theme. It's quite a long talk, but just stay in that meditative mood while we listen to the second segment.
Worked out so carefully, so delicately, one after. We have to now jump to the evolution part because you see it's a very long thing. Huh? So now we have to come to the most important part, which is evolution, which we should understand because we know evolution through science. When these three forces came into being, before creating any earth or before creating this universe or anything, first they had to draw out a proper picture about it and a proper understanding of it. You see, as before doing anything, say we have to plan out things, we have a planning commission. First of all, we sit down with the planning commission. In the same way, first they had to form a stage where they just plan out the things. This stage we can call it as the Vaikuntha state. Because this is not the earlier state. This is created later on. First, the planning state is known as the Vaikuntha state. At this stage, they created all the incarnations. Incarnations were not created after the earth has been created, which is a very wrong idea. They created all the incarnations at the Vaikuntha state, where you and I never existed at that time. This earth never existed. And nothing existed that you see with your naked eyes now. But a state of existence, the first one known as the Vaikuntha state existed. In that Vaikuntha state, the planning of the whole universe and the whole cosmos and all that was decided. So the first person who had to come on this was Shiva, because without him nothing can exist. But where to settle him down? Because he is to be reflected onto something. If Shiva has to be reflected onto someone, you have to create a reflector. So they had to first think of the one primordial being or one huge identity, you can call it, known as Virat. They created Virat. This will be the Virata. This will be the complete form of the primordial being. This is the one I'm telling you about, this reflector, the first one. The God Almighty has to be reflected. So first let us create, first of all, the primordial being, the Virat. In the Virat, they created different incarnations. Incarnations are not created from human beings. I don't know why people think like that. They cannot be created by human beings, but they were first created. You see, evolution is all right from amoeba to human beings, but there is no evolution for incarnations. They are made like that from the very beginning. The as you have seen in the Virat, I have shown you the picture of the Virat. The three powers of Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati met at the Agya Chakra. And there they produced 2 children each. It's not a story, it's a fact. Again, as brothers and sisters. And these brothers and sisters means the relationship is of a temporary nature, but of a subtler temperament. And then they were married. Intercommunication took place. Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, and Mahakali created altogether 6 children who were married. Intermarriage took place. By that intermarriage, they got an entity which was a male kinetic personality and a potential energy with it. Such a combination. And they placed those incarnations on different chakras. They brought from the top, all of them were brought from the Agya downward and placed all the chakras. These incarnations, as you know, are placed on different chakras of the Virata. Many people won't understand this and won't like to hear this also, because human beings are so egoistical that they cannot understand that there is, if a God who is almighty, who is going to do everything, he has his own ways of doing it. Now, whether I am telling the truth or not, you can verify it with vibrations. You can see for yourself how incarnations were created. And all these incarnations were placed in the Virata state. Here, to create the reflection on the other side, Shiva was removed from the Shakti as it was removed in the beginning. And it was placed on top of the Virata's head as the Sadashiva's Pitha. In the same way, we too have a Sadashiva's Pitha on our head. You see, we are the reflection of the reflector. So we too have the same style. We too have a Sadashiva Pitha on our head. He is also placed here only. But when the Kundalini enters into the being, when he is in the womb of the mother, that time this Sadashiva Pitha, or we can say Sadashiva from this Pitha, descends into the heart. And that's how you hear the first throb in the heart. It is just the same as it happened in the Virata. But at the Vaikuntha stage, this was not created. The second reflector was not created. Only the first one. So only the Virata was created. And in his being, in the planning stage, first of all, these officers, you can say, in charge of these chakras were created by Adi Shakti. God is the witness, and she is doing the play, and she creates those chakras. In the chakras, she places all these deities to govern. Now, there is the existence, there is the creative force, and there is the evolutionary force, all inside the Virata state. Now, this is at the Vaikuntha state, we say, because this state is on this first reflection. It is not in us, or we cannot feel it, the Vaikuntha state, because it is in the first state. Then another state was created, then third was created, then the fourth one is the Bhavasagara, is the state at which all of us were born. First, in the fourth stage, now can you think of a 4 strata personality which is facing a mirror? Now, which is the first one shows is the topmost. And that's why the topmost shows is the Bhavasagar. But if you can go deep down into your state, you can feel all the other 3. But first of all, the one which you can see and feel it is the Bhavasagar. So you are born in the Bhavasagar. At this state, you are at the Bhavasagara state. At this Bhavasagara state, now you are created and you have to evolve. At this time, the Mahalakshmi power acts to evolve you. You already know how evolutionary things have taken place. But I will tell you how evolution has taken place according to our Puranas, and which is a fact. The evolution of man started first from the amoeba, you can say, because the life came into being into water. As I told you, first the water was created. In the water, the amino acids were formed, amoeba were formed, fishes were formed. And fishes, when they were formed, they found, the smaller fishes found it difficult to exist because of the bigger fishes were trying to eat it. It comes as a reciprocal thing. They were absolutely fed up of this destruction that was going on. At this time, Sri Vishnu himself, the one who is the evolutionary force, descended on this earth as the Matsyavatara. He helped some of the fishes to cross across the shores. By crossing across, they had that courage. She was the leader. And then others started crossing across. This was the first evolutionary stage which we know. These fishes became reptiles later on, as you know, in the evolutionary stages that they became reptiles. But how did they become reptiles? There must be someone who must have given them the lead. It was again Sri Vishnu, who came on this earth as a Kurma. And lots of things were done at this time in the Vaikuntha stage. Before he came on this earth as a Kurma Avatara, at the Vaikuntha stage, when they created this earth, they planned this whole Virata and wanted to create on this side of the reflector, the whole planning and the whole thinking and all that process brought forth some sort of a waste matter. It brought forth the waste matter. This waste matter got contaminated, or you can say got stagnated onto one side, which was neglected somehow. And through it started coming out some satanic forces. And there was a big fight between the satanic forces and the good forces. It actually happened in the 3rd stage, not at the Vaikuntha stage, but at the 3rd stage. Because when the planning started, the working out started, these satanic forces started working out. Now people may say, why God created satanic forces? He did not. But eventually, they turned out to be. Because at the 2nd stage, when some of the devas who were created, again they were not evolved people, they were created devas in charge of all these elements and all the working. You see, you have to create also officers for people who have to go in the field and work out. All these devas and devtas, out of their working, what happened? That they got lost, some of them, and became satanic forces. Sort of a waste product came in. And with that waste product, satanic forces started. And they acted in such a way that there was a war during the Kurmavatara between Rakshasas and the Suras, as they call it. So the good people who were in charge of the elements, all the working in the office of God, started fighting with the satanic forces. At that time, he himself worked out this, and you know what happened in the Amrut Manthan which took place. And this is, people don't understand how can Amrut Manthan take place in the Bhavasagar. It did not. It took place at a stage which is not Bhavasagar. At the Bhavasagara, it did not take place. Now we are at the Bhavasagara state. At the Bhavasagara state, the same Kurma, the same one took birth and came on this earth and gave us a understanding how to become a proper reptile. Like that we grew up. So the whole thing will take too much time. I will not go into that. But ultimately, a human being was created. All this is done by Mahalakshmi power, which has acted through Vishnu, which I have told you how the evolution has taken place, how you are made. Now what is going to happen? You reach this point, up to this point, till Christ came in. Christ was also an incarnation, and his mother was nobody else but Radhaji herself, the Mahalakshmi. And they brought forth up to this stage the human beings. After this, now what man has to become?
Such a deep and interesting subject. and very difficult to think about. So we'll just continue on our meditation for maybe 5 minutes or so. And we have another lovely musical interlude, which will keep on very low, just to keep us in that meditative mood for some time.
There's a beautiful saying of Adi Shankaracharya, Tat Nishkala.
Manobuddhyahankara citta ninaham na ca shrotra jihve na ca ghana netre na ca चिदानन्दरूपा शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपा शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायु न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोश न वाक्पाणिपादं न चोपस्तपायु चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो मदोर्नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभाव न धर्मो न कामो न मोक्ष चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदा न यज्ञ अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्द
Philip's just going to read something by Sri Mataji about the extra chakras, just while we're meditating here. Thanks, Philip.
God has created 14 levels within us. If you simply count them, then you know that there are 7 chakras within us. Besides these, there are 2 more chakras about which you do not talk much about. They are the chakras of the moon, Lalita, the chakra of the sun, Shri. Then there is Hamsa chakra. Thus, there are 3 more. 7 plus 3 makes 10. Then there are 4 chakras above the Saraswara. And about these chakras also, I have told you. Adabindu, Bindu, Valaya, and Pradakshina. These are the 4. After coming to Sahaja Yoga, and after your Sahasrara has opened, you have to pass through these 4 chakras. Adabindu, Bindu, Valaya, and Pradakshina. After passing through these 4 chakras, only can you say that you have become a Sahaja Yogi. This was on the 5th of May in Mumbai, India, in 1983.
And let's take the mantras of those 4 chakras. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Ada Bindu Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Bindu Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Valaya Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Pradakshina Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. We'll just be in silence for another 4 minutes. So let's finish off our meditation by, first of all, namaskar with our two palms together. Thanks, Shrimataji, for a lovely meditation together tonight. And raise our kundalini and place ourselves in bandhan. Thank you, Shrimataji, for that lovely meditation with all of the yogis, the new yogis of the ashram series with us tonight. And our bandhan. Now, please, everyone, feel free to put your video on, unmute, and let's have a sharing and caring session just to finish off. The formal part is done, but be nice to all talk together. Welcome, come on down, Jenny. Chirag also, thank you for helping us with the technical side of things tonight. Marvelous.
Something to add as well, that talk, as you said, Lynn, we can't think about it.
No. It takes the thoughtless. There's no way you can hold it in your brain.
Yes. And the other thing is that Shrimataji's talks are not made for one listen. I think that talk I must have heard, I don't know, maybe 30 times.
Yeah.
I'm just giving everyone the power to do stuff, unmute, unvideo, so don't be shy. Yes, Jenny, I hear a completely different talk, the same talk each time I hear it.
That's it. Every time we hear Shrimataji's talk, we pick up something different. And part of that is because we are evolving, we are changing, and our understanding is becoming different every time we hear Shrimataji's talk, because we are becoming closer to our spirit.
And also another point is we keep playing excerpts, means it's a shorter version of the talk. So we must get you all hooked up with, there's an app called Everyday with Shrimataji, and you can hear all of these talks in their entirety. So they could be any length from 30 minutes if it's a shorter one to 1 hour and 30 minutes.
And another very good website is Amruta, where you can actually read Shrimataji's talks. So maybe that's something that we can share on the WhatsApp groups. And I know that helps me a lot. I really like to read them as well and even take notes, because that helps me deepen my understanding.
And also, if you are not on the WhatsApp, not compulsory to be on the WhatsApp, but send us a message on the contact email, which you can find on the website. And of course, everyone here is now graduating to the yogis.com.au website. And same there, you can also communicate with us if you're not on the WhatsApp groups, but we can certainly share it via email with you as well. So don't feel you're missing out. Although you are a bit, no. I'm not bullying, surely. So who's going to be the first participant who's going to share something with us? How did you find your meditation and listening to that amazing talk? Chirag, how did you find it? I know you were there.
This talk was first time for me, so it was very nice talk.
Oh,
Wonderful.
So,
We were
yeah,
able to introduce you to that talk. It's amazing.
yes, and I'm lucky to have it on my computer also.
Oh, yes, perfect.
So I can go through it again.
Yeah, no, it's really good. The good thing about the Everyday with Sri Mataji app is that you automatically get a talk on this day any year. So something from today is the 4th of August. So you will have access to lots of talks that were in different years from the beginning, 1977, through till the last years where Sri Mataji was lecturing all around the world. You get some beauties which just pop up each day. So we can also, you can download it from the App Store. It's a miracle.
Something that I heard, which I have heard before, but something that stayed in my attention tonight was when Shri Mataji said, when you send out love, it comes back as love.
Yeah.
When you send out hate, it comes
Yeah.
back as hate.
Yeah.
So keep sending out that love, everyone.
Yeah.
Well,
Everyone's thoughtless. It's a good.
everyone's thoughtless.
Oh,
there it is. Thank you, Chirag.
Chirag, you're on the ball. So, oh yeah, that's a nice version of it. Lovely. Yeah, so you can have your access to all the talks. And you can even, on the Amruta site, when you get on there, you can search for subjects. So if you want to hear what Srimataji has said about certain subjects, having, oh, nice. So it's in the chat. The link is there in the chat for you, those of you who are on Zoom.
And Chirag, if you could, if it's not too much trouble, if you could share the Amruta link as well. We'll share it again in the WhatsApp anyway.
Yeah.
Might be easier. There it is.
Oh, there you go. Yep. It's pretty on the ball there, our Chirag.
Yes. Thank you, Chirag.
So yeah, Amruta, all the talks of Sri Mataji are in Amruta. So there you go, power, everyone.
And what I find amazing when I go to Amruta is those such significant talks that Sri Mataji gave, like day after day after day sometimes.
Yes.
And even sometimes there were 2 talks per day.
Yeah.
It's incredible. There it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarita, for joining us.
Thanks so much, Sarita. And we had a lovely session last night with the hand massage, hand soak, and a hand massage and the Vishuddhi massage. It was really good. I was just wondering how Yanni found that. It's very good for helping you feel the vibrations more, to massage your hands, actually.
All right. I think that might be it for this evening for everyone.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for this very last session in our June series. And happy congratulations and for your graduation. Happy graduation.
And keep meditating.
Yeah.
Just a little bit every day. Keep meditating.
And hope to see you all at an international event one day. What fun would that be to actually all meet?
Wonderful.
In the meantime, we will see you at the Ashram series. And Jenny will be helping us enjoy Burwood Ashram on Tuesday nights.
Yes, and we have an international presenter on Tuesday, but I won't give too much away.
Oh, a secret person.
A secret person. We'll put it on the WhatsApp group during the week.
Okay, nice. And also you can see it on email if you're not on WhatsApp.
Yes.
Don't forget to tell us. So we get all the emails on the contact email address. So
All right.
That's
Thank you, everyone. Thank you again, Lynn and Philip.
And thank you, Jenny.
Thank
And
you.
thank you,
Thank you,
Chirag.
Jenny.
That was so nice. And thank you, everyone, for being with us for
Yes.
the very last June series session. And see you on the other side at the Ashram series. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
I think Chirag's going to pop on a bit of music, just as our outgoing finishing music, but our faces will say goodbye. Good night, everyone. Lovely to be with you. Oh, I guess we'll take our faces in this situation. Enjoy the lovely music. Good night, all.